questions recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Attorney General Bondi, right here. We are joined in this room by some of the thousands of survivors from Jeffrey Epstein's horrific sex trafficking ring. They have shown such incredible courage in speaking out, in demanding accountability to bring the predators and pedophiles to justice. The Epstein Files Transparency Act required your Department of Justice to disclose the perpetrators connected with Epstein's criminal activities and to redact the information of survivors to protect their identities. Let me show you what actually happened. First, in violation of the law, your department has shown a pattern of redacting the names of powerful predators. Here behind me is one example of an email from Epstein to a man whose name was redacted. The email reads, quote, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video." Only after members of Congress demanded that we see the unredacted files did the world learn the name of this individual, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, the chairman and CEO of a company that had financial ties to President Trump's business and personal ties to Trump's advisor, Steve Bannon. Second, the survivors were not similarly protected, also in violation of the law. Here is another email titled Epstein Victim List. We have blurred the names of the survivors for their protection, but your Department of Justice initially released this list of 32 survivors' names with only one name redacted, along with numerous files that disclose not only the names, the emails, and the addresses of survivors, but also nude photographs and even the identities of Jane Does who had been protected for decades until your department released their names. Survivors are now telling us that their families are finding out for the first time that they were trafficked by Epstein. In their words, quote, "This release does not provide closure. It feels like a deliberate attempt to intimidate survivors, punish those who came forward, and reinforce the same culture of secrecy that allowed Epstein's crimes to continue for decades." To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice.
What we just witnessed in that hearing was not accountability. It was a masterclass in evasion wrapped in bureaucratic arrogance. Congresswoman Jayapal didn't ask a complicated question. She didn't demand classified details or legal nuance. She asked for something painfully simple, something human. Turn around and apologize to the survivors standing right behind you. And Pam Bondi couldn't do it. Not because she didn't understand the question, but because answering it would mean acknowledging the devastating truth at the center of this scandal. The Department of Justice didn't just mishandle the Epstein files, it flipped justice upside down. The very law designed to expose powerful predators was twisted into a shield for them, while the victims, the very people the system is supposed to protect, were exposed in horrifying detail. Names, addresses, private information, even explicit material, all allegedly released while the identities of the powerful remained conveniently hidden. That is not incompetence. That is a system protecting itself. And when Jayapal laid out those facts, when she pointed to survivors in the room who had never even been contacted by the DOJ, the response wasn't remorse, it was deflection, interruption, and procedural chaos. Bondi reached for the oldest trick in Washington. Blame the past, dodge the present, and hope the moment passes. But it didn't. Because what made this moment explosive wasn't just the policy failure, it was the human cost standing right there in the room, waiting for the bare minimum of acknowledgement and getting nothing.
Please note for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand. Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein? Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before, Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General
Twice.
Bondi.
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question
Attorney General
that I
can
would
respond to your
like
question.
you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
That's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the
my
answer.
time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't
a
she
question.
ask Merrick Garland this?
I am
Twice,
reclaiming
when he
my
sat in
time,
chair.
and when I
will
reclaim my
continue to
time,
answer.
it is
Mr. Chairman, the
my
gentlelady's
time.
reclaimed
I'm
her
not going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say
I'll
this.
direct it to
What
you.
a massive
No, I'm
cover-up.
answering a
Mr.
question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is
I'm not going to get
interrupted.
in the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time
doing theatrics.
and let me have my
The
time.
gentlelady from Washington controls the time. The gentlelady has 17 seconds. You can proceed with your final
Thank you.
17 seconds.
What a massive cover-up this has been and continues to be. Donald Trump made the release of the Epstein files the center of his political campaign because he thought it would benefit him. Then you got into office, Attorney General, claimed to have a client list, only
Regular
to
order.
then say that there was no list. Your deputy, Todd Blanche, met alone with Ghislaine Maxwell and transferred her to a minimum security prison. And now you continue the cover-up, and I wish that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level
Chairman,
apologize
The chair now
to
recognizes the chair.
them and what you have done.
Time of the gentlelady
yield
expired.
back.
The gentlelady, you have no time to yield back.
Theatrics.
We appreciate the thought. And I would argue the central issue in the last election, the presidential election, was securing the border. The gentleman from Arizona who knows something about securing the border is up for.
And that's where this story becomes bigger than one hearing. Bigger than one official, it becomes a snapshot of a system in moral freefall. Because let's be clear, this wasn't just about redactions or document handling. This was about power who gets protected and who gets sacrificed. Jayapal's line of questioning cut straight through the noise and exposed a pattern that is impossible to ignore. Powerful names connected to Epstein were hidden until Congress forced transparency, while survivors were left exposed, re-traumatized, and in some cases blindsided as their identities were effectively broadcast to the world. And when confronted with that reality, Bondi didn't just hesitate, she stonewalled. She refused to engage with the core of the accusation, refused to take responsibility, and, most tellingly, refused to perform even the most basic act of accountability: an apology. That silence speaks louder than any statement she could have made, because in that moment the message was unmistakable: the system will protect itself before it protects you. And when Jayapal called it what it looked like a cover-up, it didn't sound like political theater. It sounded like a conclusion drawn from a pattern of behavior that has repeated itself too many times to dismiss. This is why the hearing spiraled into chaos, why voices were raised, why the tension became unbearable, because beneath all the procedural fighting was a deeper truth clawing its way to the surface. Justice isn't just failing, it's being actively distorted. And until someone at the top is willing to face that reality head-on, moments like this won't be the exception. They'll be the norm.